should be right on, live and direct. Boom! We're on the Tru-Mon Show, episode 149 with Arthur and Fiona again. How are you guys?
Good, guys. Fiona just had to go because someone just came on the front door, knocked on the door.
Okay.
I should be back in a second.
That's cool with me.
Good,
today we're gonna have a great show again. Great conversation for sure. We always have great discussion. I prefer use discussion, but no, even discussion, I don't like it. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have a great talk. That's it. That's better. We're gonna have a great talk about self-obsession, but more about the remedy. You know, the remedy part in the self-obsession and my way of clearing my self-obsession. I think a lot of you know by now, it's by being of selfless service to humanity. You know, that's the way I see it, being of selfless service to humanity. That's a great way to reconnect also with who I am, with what I'm supposed to bring here. I've been given some kind of mission, but you know, you get in touch with it without falling into self-obsession and all that stuff. So Arthur, also something, a lot of things been written and spoke since the last time we had the last hangout, and stuff been happening, and I think you want to give us an example, or because even me, I'm gonna probably, like I said, we're all caught up into self-obsession. It's not because one of us is totally out. I'm still in it, and he's still in it, and we're all caught up in it at some degree. Some deeper than others, like Arthur told me, but we're all pretty much caught up in it too. Exactly. I think recognizing the trauma also, Arthur, is a very good a good step forward to recognize the kind of trauma you're under, because I wasn't aware of all that stuff before I started asking questions. So it's very important. So I'll let you go on and explain us your version of the remedy.
Spots.
The blind
it's
spot.
the blind spots of self-obsession. And the remedy is to have no blind spots with self-obsession, because when we've conquered that, meaning when we've walked away from all of it and we're no longer coming out of that, we're free in the moment. So we'll discuss this, and we're going to use a conversation that transpired a few days ago on Facebook to give some examples. We don't want to get into naming names and all that. It's not about that. It's more just showing the sort of the trickery we do to each other and what we do to who we think we are, that leads us into making claims where the self-obsession resides. And it's in that where the occultists use to manipulate everyone, and where they come in and wage war on you. And that's why the occultists that came as the missionaries, the scientists, the botanists, all those who worked underneath the high priests of Freemasonry, who came as on those UFOs, the unidentified floating objects, on the man on the land all across Earth, even if they were the armies of the Roman empires or the Greeks or Alexander the Great or whatever, it doesn't matter. However they arrived on man on the land, to conquer and obliterate a land, you have to have the ability to use the occults to destroy those you want to conquer, right? Which means your own soldiers, it had to be done to your own soldiers to do this. So there's, you know, I'm not claiming a blanket situation. This is exactly how it always happened, because the evil of the old ways it could have been that some just arrived and just obliterated another tribe.
Whoop, Arthur, I think Arthur is frozen. I don't know if you guys can hear something, but I think he's frozen on my side. Maybe that's why you had problem hearing him before. You said the audio was cutting off. Someone said that. Oh wait, maybe he's gonna come back. During that time, I'll tell you my my version of it's a long time I haven't been diving deep solo anyway. So while I'm solo, I'm gonna dive deep alone. I'm used to it. I'm used to come and eat alone. So it's nothing new for me. I know. I'm used to stretch. Yeah. So yeah, self-obsession for me is really, you know, clearing that programming of being self-obsessed is a lot by becoming a selfless service to humanity. And this is what I'm doing on YouTube. I want to help people. Like I'm crying for help, but the opposite way. I'm crying to help people. You know, this is. Oh, I think Arthur is back. But yeah, it's to help others and not expect anything in return is a very, very good way. Like we said with Fiona the other day, you don't need to receive a thank you when you give someone. When it's like same thing what I do here. I know we probably inspire a lot of people, but I don't. It's not about me. It's not about me receiving gratification. Give me gratification when we all wake up. Then I'll take it. But then other than that, it's about us, and the work has to be done on a deep level. I think to clear that self-obsession. We're all caught up in it. It's not because I put myself on the. I get myself. Self-obsession could be in anything. In music, I love music. I love reggae music. So sometimes I'm caught up playing the same song over and over again and posting it over and over again. So I'm caught up in it too. But at least I'm trauma you're under. Like I said before, experiencing all that questioning that I'm doing, I've never really get in touch with reality anyway. So, but what is reality? Even today, I can tell you what I see with my own two eyes, but there's could be many other things like that don't meet the eyes. So, no, that's it. So don't get caught up too much and just live for others. Live for others. It's a very good way to not fall into self-obsession. And like I told my wife before, I said it's not because I think we all have some kind of some kind of self-obsession, because to function in this world, you need an ego, a little bit of an ego. Me, I don't see, and I'm like, it's part of us. It's part of us also. The ego can be something. It could be like anything that you use or that serve you can be used for the good or the bad. So your ego could be used for the good too. It's if you thin the layers of your ego and start to shine that light, not the light of Lucifer, but the light inside you. We all have a bright. We should all be like a flashlight. Should flash our light. Should flash our light to Babylon and really inspire each other and just stay of selfless service to humanity. Is a very live for others, and you will not live in vain. I can guarantee you that. Just try it, and just do it. Just do it, and come back. Tell me I was not. I don't like to say right or wrong, but I wasn't on the right path or something with my affirmation. Like, it's just to take action. It's nothing. For sure, it's a driving force to come here and talk to you. Especially this put me on the spot. I was supposed to be with Arthur and Fiona, and he left me here. So, but this is the kind of thing that I'm ready for. I prepared myself for that. Why do you think I do shows alone and I'm there every morning talking to myself alone? I'm prepared for that thing to happen. I'm ready for anything. So I've been preparing for a long time, and I think preparation is a very you must be prepared for something even if it's not there. So yeah, so preparation is very important. That's what I think. So who's there tonight? Sophiane, person, mask, reflected light, person, like person written with a U, person, the person. Yeah. The ego would be our personality. Yeah, that's it. We cannot completely. Who's there? Me, Rod. Rod is in the house, my bro. Big up, Rod. It's been a long time. We should connect soon, Rod. Yeah. Soon we'll connect together. We're gonna have a little discussion together. It's always uplifting. I love to connect. That's the. I love to connect with great minds, and that's why I think we're all great minds, but it's just some of us are reaching their potential, trying to reach it, trying to reach greatness. It's a journey to greatness. It don't need to be great to start. You're going to become great as you go on. And that, you can't stop it. You can't stop it, not even you. That's what I was saying with the guy I was interviewing, Unstoppable Fire, this afternoon. It's a process. You can't even stop yourself. So that's it. Just stay focused. Be of selfless service to humanity. This is what we need. We don't need to do things for money absolutely all the time. It could involve the heart, involve love. Just for service, you know. But this is what I think I've lost sight a bit is helping each other, but we're getting back there slowly by clearing the self-obsession from our programming and reconnecting, remembering who we are is a big step forward, I think. And then many of us here are becoming very, very, very conscious. If I'm conscious, I don't like that word too. Are becoming very aware. The awareness is expanding a lot, and I see a lot of great. Oh, Patrick is there. Big up, Patrick. I see a lot of comments on Facebook, Patrick, and most of the time you're very, very inspiring. Very inspiring in your. Oh, so Arthur is back. I was giving a shout out to Patrick.
We had a system.
It's okay. You know, that's the kind of thing you left like this, and you know, I'm so prepared for anything that come my way that I was entertaining the chat. I was gone.
Did you put on some music, did you?
yeah, I was gone. I was giving my own version, so I let you go now and keep going on what you were saying.
I don't know what really happened, but just I ended up shutting everything down, internet-wise, rebooted the modem, rebooted the computer, you know, all that sort of stuff, just in case. I don't know what else happened, so yeah. Anyway, we'll see if it happens. If it happens again, we'll have to change to another computer and log in again. So which means we'll probably be off for another 10 minutes. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Self-obsession.
Sorry, apologies. We'll cut all this out. We'll start all over again from the beginning.
So you have to leave again, you said?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay,
we just if it happens again at our end, we'll probably have to open up another computer and start the whole process again, in case it is this notebook that we're using. So I'll just say we should start all over again from the beginning and in our headspace, because we've got notes, and we've got a text file open here.
But we were talking about the stuff that happened on Facebook. You were extending on that subject. That's what you were saying when you left.
Yeah, it's the blind spots of self-obsession.
Yeah,
blind spots, because the remedy, what we come to, from where we were, say 11 years ago, riding the steps of kingdom, to where we are today. It's in the letting go and the letting go and the letting go of self-obsession that frees already what we are and who we are and what we're part of. And it's that that is the sun that shines. It is the soul that expands the light of our consciousness across the whole of the dream of life, because it's undefined. It's an undefined consciousness, undefined freedom, undefined reality. So we have to look for the blind spots that define the fake persona who mimics conversations about, well, it's basically claiming things that come out of the self-obsession about the name of the man, who we are, how we feel, how we claim about freedom, how we claim about consciousness. It's in these areas that we need to let go of. And this conversation that we're invited into is a classic example of how we now see this. So we're not saying that 10, 11 years ago that we were clear ourselves about this self-obsession. The intentions of the heart shining and all that was still there. We recognized the psyops of nonsense. We got to see what nonsense was and what sense is. But the more we zoomed into this stuff over the years, the more we came in contact with our own self-obsession. So, look, we had a friend here who came and stayed with us. He came here to stay for a year, but he actually stayed for 6 months. And he's been involved with the Love for Life work for about 8 years or something like that. And he came from overseas about a year and a half ago, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit longer. And he only survived 6 months because it turned out literally from day one that he had mimicked everything about Love for Life, all our insights, and that the man, the real man, wasn't there. And so the ego was running amok, and with it was all the childhood, early childhood behavior patterns that to do with self-esteem, self-confidence, and all this stuff. And it's a mishmash, it's a nightmare, because the hurt and the pain that is part of that self-obsession is what we were dealing with as the man who came with his beautiful heart and brought fictional dollars here and contributed and worked here. But he was in pain and suffering literally the whole time he was here. And he nearly killed someone in a car crash while he was here. You know, there were so many crazy things that were going down. So it opened our eyes more and more and more to this self-obsession. And this is what we're going to have to conquer. Because if we don't conquer the self-obsession, the ego of that self-obsession will mimic everything about truth, everything about reality, everything about freedom, everything about sovereignty, about everything about the law, about the way the system is. But if we're not aware of it, we're still mimicking the definitions that others defined what reality was to us, and the man ain't there. So the man is still lost with all the shit that shut us down from when we were children. Because the invalidation that was done to us, that harmed us and hurt us in babyhood, in the womb, in childhood, is what's still running our lives today. And we've never grown up out of it. And that's why we're wards of the state. That's why the occultists really have us all as wards of the state, because everyone's still sucking on the nipples of the system while they're talking about consciousness and freedom, because the default is to the system. So you can have thousands and thousands, or actually hundreds of thousands of people today, brothers and sisters, all dreaming for freedom, but they're all still doing this. They haven't gotten past the self-obsession because they don't know what that is. And they don't know, you know, it's basically they're operating from a script as the puppet master here pulling the strings of the marionette of their freedom in the system, right? Which we talked about in other shows. So I think Fee and I, we've had a series of eye-openers amongst lots of brothers and sisters who actually came here, because the Love for Life work has been really a process of being guinea pigs. We've been guinea pigs in many, many things we've been doing. We've been testing everything out and scrutinizing and arguing and documenting and challenging all kinds of people. There will be a trail of people out there who probably don't like us, particularly this man. And because we asked the questions. Now, even in this conversation that happened with Facebook a few days ago, the accusations were being made that were involving Jabba, because Jabba was involved in this and he got blocked out of this conversation about vilification, about being abusive. And they meant, you know, that kind of element. When we were invited to join this thread and we started reading, I was thinking, whoa, what's going on here? This whole argument over vilification. I know Jabba doesn't come from there. That Jabba's not about that. Jabba's an intense guy, you know, who focuses with scrutiny, intense scrutiny on what people say. And because English is his second language, sometimes that can come across as maybe not as clear as it should be. But anyone who's got any sense can sense what he's saying, can realize he's not making anything personal with anybody. And that's the same with us going back all these years. We've had so many people make claims where they become engaged with our characters and they start having a battle over who we are, which hijacks and derails the truth about what's actually been discussed. So when you see people get caught up in the personalities of another man, you know that it's their self-obsession in practice, and they don't see it because it's a blind spot. It's a real blind spot, because a man who doesn't come from the self-obsession has no reaction to anything about anyone. So the only difference is that people like us and Jabba, and there's other friends who have woken up to the Love for Life work and use and applying it, is that we confront the nonsense that is the blind spots of one's self-obsession. Because if we don't conquer this, there's no freedom, there's no truth, and all you will have is the system around you still, because you'll keep inviting it in, which is the occultists who govern and administrate the claims you make.
And you will still always be at the effect of your emotional reaction, which takes all your power away. You give all your power away to those who you allow to bring up that emotional reaction in you. And until we conquer that, we're always going to be open to manipulation, easily open to manipulation, because someone only has to push that little button and we're like, "Ugh," or whatever reaction we have. And unless we are able to accept the scrutiny, provided we can sense that it comes from someone whose, you know, heart is in the right place, then we shouldn't have to react to it. We don't have to accept what they say, but the emotional reaction is not something that should be ruling us. We should be able to look at it, say, oh, I see what you mean, or, oh, actually, I don't agree with you at all. But it shouldn't be, molding how we do things and how we think and how we respond to people.
Yeah, I think whenever you get caught up into reacting or into reaction, instead of responding, you know, you should respond. Like, take a moment. Because I have experienced the same thing with Jabba, everybody knows here, but I still, to that day, like, I love the guy. It's not that I love the guy. I even get back in touch with him, and we talk together. And, you know, I don't take nothing personal. He's just very, very use intense scrutiny. And if you go argue with Jabba on Facebook, you better be ready, because you watch what you say. Watch what you say, that's all.
Well, the thing is, we shouldn't watch what we say. We should
no,
still
but I mean,
say,
you know.
But yeah, just be prepared to look at what we say, because and this again is getting past that ego thing of where we want to be seen to be above it all. We want to be seen to be right. We want to be seen to know what we're talking about. Whereas in fact, we should all be saying, yep, we're all just still wallowing around in our state of unconsciousness. And thank you to everyone who's going to point a finger and say, hey, look, do you realize here that you're still totally lost in the fantasy? You know, you think you're heading for freedom, but actually you've still got fantasy ruling you.
But the thing is also, we might also create more division. You know, once we become very, very aware of the self-obsession and others are not, you go and talk to them, and then you cause more division, like what happened there. So what is the remedy for that? What is the solution for this? Like going to someone without causing division, because people sometimes react. And I did it. I reacted too when thing happened with Jabba. So maybe you can...
Well, this is why we said again that, well, we've been guinea pigs for so many years, because we wanted to directly experience the truth of things. You've got to put it to the test. So vigilance and discernment with scrutiny, with that passion behind it, that's very intense, does not make us aggressive, doesn't mean that there's any emotion attached to it. It's simply going in and pulling out the blind spot that is a piece of wood that's stuck in your eye, and you want to pull that out, right? A splinter. There's so many splinters. Now, the thing is that when one engages in conflict, when you start coming up with arrogance, ignorance, when you start coming into denial and apathy, when you write people off, all these things are self-obsession in one who's reacting, because a man who's free, truly free, has none. It's the sun that shines. All hell can be breaking loose all around, and nothing is affecting the man. And the man is not even acting out a script of how to handle it. The man already is truly peaceful, calm.
I get it now.
It's that no backdoor thing. You can say it can cause division, and in a way you can say, yes, that's right, because some people get pissed off and they walk up and they'll block someone on Facebook, or they'll move out of a situation. However, again, you've got to question then the purity and sincerity of their intention to keep going, because what you'll find, like we've had many people over the years who've spat the dummy, they've gone off, blocked us, whatever the situation.
Oh, hundreds,
and guess what?
Hundreds.
Those who are still sincere will often come back 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, and say, hey, you know what? Blah, blah, blah. And we never close the door on people. So we were always there. We say, oh, yeah, hi, welcome back, sort of thing. Because even though they may have disappeared off for a little while, their sincerity and their intention to get to the bottom of the matter, what is it that's not letting me be free? What is it that's holding us back? In the end, they'll come back again. And it's not about they have to come back to us, but it's like in a marriage. We use marriage, but a couple may have a big issue come up. Now, what do? They either walk away, or even though they may hate each other for a few hours, if they're sincere in the fact that their relationship is what they want, then they'll come back again and say, oh, well, hey, sorry, or whatever needs to be said. So the division is not purely someone's choice every time. If you have a run-in with someone on Facebook, you know, why not? Sometimes Arthur's saying, well, just see things out to the end. You know, you keep going, you see things out to the end. Often things can work themselves out. The division is the choice of the one who walks away.
Yeah,
But the
and it's
important thing is, if we are, as he says, the one who shines, then they always have the choice to walk back again, because the sun will still be shining for them.
But that's why they come back.
because that's what I see in that conversation. Like Arthur is comment, I read pretty much the whole thing there. I didn't comment, but I was checking it. Arthur tagged me, so okay, what is that? What's going on there? So I went to check, but yeah, that's it. I think sometime, you know, he who conquers himself is mighty, and it's about it. It's to conquer, you know, that self-obsession is very, very important, and not to let it take over your life. Anyway, me, I think
So
there is...
the purpose of life is creating unique original souls. Now, this is undefined. Because I say that, it still does not define what that is, because each of us has been gifted with the legacy of that is the sun that shines. That is the true consciousness of man. Now, we cannot lead a man to doing that through definitions. We cannot stereotype that. We can mimic it. We can mimic the concepts of God. Now, it's like we talked about in last week's show. You know, when people talk about God, it's man's thought that's projecting the illumination of God to wherever they claim God may be, or what God is and what God looks like. It's still man animating God. And that's the same when man animates freedom and consciousness. Now, the greatest problem is that we project the illumination of these storytelling over another man, over the forest, over the creatures.
So he is like this, he is like that, she is like that, he said that, and he's being aggressive. That's all our storytelling being projected. She said that, and she's denying me such and such. Oh, what they said was not helpful to this thread. But that's all our storytelling that we are placing on top of what is going on.
It's operating from a script that's about surviving the self-obsession, because it's all we've got to hold on to, because the doubt and uncertainty about who we really are had occurred so long ago that it's like hanging over the abyss with your fingernail, with just literally on your fingernails. I don't want to fall into hell, you know, because the fear underneath it is so huge. Yet there's nothing, there's no fall, nothing's happening. But we imagine it for so long that we're falling, that the fear drives us to do the most craziest things, right? So it's,
I've said that the other day. Unawareness is an abyss. There's no end into. It's crazy, no?
When we define reality to a child, we're training the child to fall into the storytelling of the definitions to form their reality. So, you know, from so early in life, we are educating, instructing, suggesting things to innocent children with the intent to map out a reality for them, which tells them that who they really are is not there, and that who they must be is all the information we've provided to them. That is all that stereotyping, all that definition work. And so they hold on to that, and that is us clinging to the edge of the abyss. I cannot let go, because this is who I am. This is my identity. This is the all-seeing eye. This is what I'm about, right? So the remedy is in letting all of it go. It's truly surrendering, because there is no death. So the images of the Christians in the Colosseum with the lions is true in some ways, because the real people, the real brothers and sisters waking up, it doesn't matter what the Romans do. It doesn't matter what the occultists do. Because if you know who you really are, you're not dying. All those around you are dying. Those who are coming after your body, those who are doing what they want to do to you, because that's the storytelling they're projecting over you, they are the ones dying. It's the other way around. You see, so to have no attachment to your body is to have no self-obsession. Yeah, sure, you can be vigilant, discerning, and you can say no. But there's a certain point, man, when you've got 50 of them coming at you, or 20 or 30 coming at you, and you know, unless you can develop, you know, superhuman powers and shift your body somewhere else, which we're capable of doing, right? You're going to have to deal with this thing. You're going to have to be smart. So what we do, we avoid getting into these kind of battles with these people. So we still use the internet 11 years later. in spite of the assassination attempts on this man, in spite of the kidnappings and all the abuse and tyrant that's been thrown at us all these years, in spite of us actually being close to, you know, we went from a $4,000 a week income over roughly 20 years, you know, on and off, but mostly that kind of money, to nothing except Fiona's Centrelink parenting payments without having all the contracts, and we having no contract because they pulled out of the system, which I think we talked about in some of the other shows. The point is, the point is that you get to the point where you overcome the fear of death. And when you overcome the fear of death, you're no longer driven by the self-obsession. It doesn't dominate you anymore. It may still, the conversation, the chatter may still be there, and certain little things, but your heart is so strong that you catch yourself quickly because the speed of thought is so fast. You go, oh, no, I'm out of there. And that's what she says. People are sincere. They will keep going where the heart takes them. They'll keep going where truth takes them. And the falling away, the letting go of that self-obsession continues to happen. And the more we let go, the more we're already present to our living freedom because we dreamed that and we're being it. It's not defined. So we don't lead people to freedom. They need to create that themselves uniquely and be that, right? So this brings in that conversation with what happened during Facebook, where someone is making a claim on land in spite of the fact that they know the truth about not making claims. So on one hand, they're saying we need to make a claim and inform the government that we're taking this land under a lordal title, you know, under freehold. The fact you're even making such a claim means that you're still in the system. You're relying on the definitions of your relationship with your self-obsession to do it, which means that you're still in Caesar's world. You're still in that world of definitions under the occults because you're still attached to the idea that you need someone else's approval, even if it means that it's invisible, where they don't appear with their force upon the land. You are telling them to please stay away from us, leave us alone. We're going to do something with this land, whatever the intentions may be, right? Etc., which to me invites them in because you still don't know who you are. You're still in the obsession of the definitions about land and the definitions of who you are as a man on that land.
And this can all be done while you're still following the script of freedom, as it were, as in they talk about we're denying the fiction. Literally those words, deny the fiction. And yet they're going to the fiction and using the fiction and using everything
by making claims.
And they're saying things like placing alleged government and public servants. Now, just because you put the word alleged in there doesn't mean you're still not kowtowing to them as masters, because you obviously are if you're writing to them. Otherwise, you don't need to write to them.
You still have doubt about who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you know who you are, there's no claim to be made with anybody. You're just on the land doing it already. You don't claim anything with anybody, which means you're truly free. Now, the key to this is you're not processing a curse. Because when you make a claim, you're processing a curse because it's a lie. And while you live the lie, the occultists, who are the gods of the realms of the curse, the realms of Wonderland, Fantasyland, the world of definitions, this is why they gave everybody a name, registered with as a trademark, right? And by association to the Sestak Trust, form the relationship with a driver's license, with the, you know, as in the birth certificate, as in with the check account, the credit card, the bank accounts. This is a curse. And that is self-obsession because you still don't know who you are. You still don't have the ability to let go and live in the moment without the definitions defining what that is. You are. You just drop it. So you don't go in and make claims under the name. Because when you do anything on a piece of paper, you're already admitting that there's someone else out there, right, that you're answerable to. Even though in the script you may think that you're not. You're still answerable because you're still compelled to perform for someone else. And here is where the occultists have got you. And that's what they did, is they came as missionary scientists and botanists to all the tribes of land. They worked in to see how they could come at what angle to get the tribes to claim the land, claim who they are, claim anything. Because the moment those claims are made, they are saying to the occultists, I do not know who I am. And they come in with the administration to deal with this because they believe, the occultists believe.
Hold on. So reclaiming our power is fantasy too.
Yes.
Exactly, because I was just thinking,
It's fantasy.
imagine you're living on the land, you've never had a thought of ownership of the land because just living on the land is what you've always done, and someone comes along and they start setting up their tents there, and they say to you, is this your land? Now, you've never had that thought, ever. So what do you say? You sort of think about it. Is this my land? But just imagine then those people, and you might say no, but then you might, they start moving in, they start bringing their stuff in, they start disrupting your peaceful life on the land. Pretty soon you're probably going to turn around and say, you know what, this is actually my land because I was here before you, and look what you're doing to it. So in that moment, they have tricked you into making those claims, whereas previously you never ever had that thought in your brain at all because you didn't live with ownership or claims. You just lived on the land.
American Indians, that's how they did it to them, how they defeated them, and why the American Indians. And this happens with what we call the Aboriginals, the Aboriginals. It happens over and over again. It's a cunning thing because the occultists. Now, look, most of these aliens on these UFOs who arrived, all the men, because you're talking about armies here, and Navy people. Not most of them won't even know what this is all about. They're just lackeys doing what they do within the command structures of what forms a battleship or an armada. Right, or what forms a country under the British Empire. So there are certain high priests of Freemasonry, the ecclesiastical who know the truth of how the curse works and how they trick man to enter the curse, to process the curse, which allows them to do what they do to the man on the land because they think that they are the ones processing the curse. Because if you look at a mortgage or a title deeds that relate to a lease, you have to have a name on it to claim it. So there's your curse straight away. So while you have money, you already are in a curse because you've claimed the intellectual property of money, which means all the life force energy you've claimed of every man that provided the labor resources that you use, right? As in material, because you go to the shops to buy materials, you buy food, you buy water, you use assets like motor cars and you know what I'm saying, and everything to do with households and landing. All these are claims. So you're forever lost in the curse, processing the curse. And that's what a mortgage is. It's a death certificate, right? So when these, for example, when they came on their lands, they're now called the Commonwealth of Australia, they divided up all the lands into parish lands and then put a church in every parish. It doesn't matter which particular denomination, whether it's Church of England, Roman Catholic, whether it is, Protestant, it doesn't matter. There's so many different ways. But they then put a priest in the church to deal with the original sinners because the original sin is the claim. Is the claim itself, because it's in the claim that you've accepted the self-obsession, the fake persona. And it's in there, you've entered Wonderland as the fake person under the administration of the occultists who govern Wonderland, because you're inside that Wonderland world now, operating in their statutes, right? So this is so cunning. They are brilliant. It's clever, but they've got to get you to make the claim. But if you know who you really are, you can hold a bigger picture of the dream of life and have them process the curse, because you don't have any attachment to what they dream for, what they choose to do. Even if it means taking your body, you allow them to process the curse, because you say, you have free will, brother. You have free will, sister. You have the free will to experience the outcomes of what you dream for, and this man holds that for you. Allow you to experience your own processing of the curse. In that way, you are not trapped in the self-obsession. You're not trapped
in the way also we let the evil people have the dream of hell, and we focus on the dream of life. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. But that means you've got to be selfless, because you're already on land. So you don't make a claim about land, and you don't use the name in association with anything, because you're not a name. The man is not a name, because a name is a definition. And if you claim the name, you're already in the curse. And so that's why they gave everyone the name from so young. And because they, look, remember, they mapped everything out. Everything was mapped out, everything. So everything that's mapped out is a curse because it's a claim. And it enters you into Wonderland. So every ABC 1, 2, 3 thought in your head is a curse, is a claim. So you've got to know who you are so that you can use the darkness, but you're not of it. You're in it, but you're not of it. Right? And when the occultists know that you're like that, it's a nightmare for them because you are holding their curse upon themselves now. And you're telling them that your children, you will all experience the outcomes of what you dream for, as much as you want to devastate your brothers and sisters amongst you, because it's not about the land. It's not about a land that we call Canada, America, Australia, or the states of different, whether it's Quebec or Montreal, whatever states you call over there, and cities. It's not about numbers and street numbers. It's not about suburbs, right? It's not about bank accounts and credit cards. It's not, it's not about any of this stuff. No matter what has been defined for you, it's about who you really are. And if you know who you really are, you are undefined. You are not self-obsessed, right? The occultists use self-obsession in the most cunning ways. They slip in. You got to remember, our ancestors were in paradise, yet they fell. How did that happen? How was that possible when they had everything, with magnificent consciousness, with everything so perfect in that way, undefined perfection, right? So how did they fall? And how, ever since the descendants, have had great difficulty returning. And in all the books of the holy books and all this, everything you find, there's this hope and dream returning to your God, to your Savior, to your Messiah, while you're on the land, underneath the administration of the occultists who run the system under the church. Because the priest is in the church that's on the land title deeds, right, that governs the land title deeds under the parish lands. And this happened in America, in every Western world country, because everyone has made a claim. You see, the occultists do not process the curse. They stay very calm and quiet, right? They have all their lackeys to do all the shit work. But the real occultists, the high-level priests, their job is to suck you into the claim. They come as the snake to suck you in to a claim. They will try and antagonize you through their lackeys. They'll do whatever they can, like a red rag to a bull, to get you to make a claim. Because the moment you make a claim, you are gone. Right? So this man who...
Deep stuff. Yeah.
On the Facebook wall that we were invited into, we said to this man, if you're inviting us in, you're asking us to share our views. But if you want to operate as a control freak and try and censor what we're saying by making it as if that we are being ego trippers because we're pointing out this stuff, it just shows that you're in conflict with self-obsession and that your intention was to bring us into a conflict because you already had the controversy worked out in yet before we even arrived into the discussion.
And probably were hoping that we'd come in to support what they were saying as well, because that's often why people invite us into places and then they don't like it if it doesn't go their way, as it were, which it shouldn't even be a their way or his way or her way. It should just be an open discussion for everyone to learn from. But that's the way it often goes. People think, oh, I'll invite Arthur in because he'll support me. And then if Arthur goes and says, yeah, but I'm looking at some this, that, and the other there,
well, you'll notice it. We'll post this. We'll post the whole thing up. You'll see how the conflict engaged. They try to get into conflict with us, which is not about the land. The whole purpose of what she was dreaming for with the land now becomes a conflict with this man. It just shows you straight away the self-obsession and how lost they are, even though they're mimicking all the definitions of freedom and alloidal titles and freeholds, but they're still in the definitions because, see, they're lost in the mapping out, where the occultists have the administrative rights to rule you in their dream world, in their wonderland, because you still don't know who you are. These are not your dreams.
And this is why all this sustainable living, all these eco communities, all this, hey, free food for everybody, we'll give off our excess, all this sort of stuff, none of this is being suppressed. Why not? Because they know for 99.9% of the people jumping on that bandwagon of sustainability and growing food are still totally stuck in the blind spot of their self-obsession, that doesn't matter how many gardens they grow, doesn't matter how many bits of land they repair and rejuvenate, they're still going to be answering to their masters because they're still stuck in that self-obsession and they just don't know it.
And that self-obsession is demonic possession, because the explanation, the definition that you've accepted to define your reality is what imprisons you under the hood, under the priesthood, the brotherhood, the childhood, the babyhood. You see, we do it to ourselves. We pull our own strings, right? We are our own puppet masters and we are our own marionettes. And if we don't see the trick, if we don't notice this, we will not notice we're still in Wonderland, inviting the occultists to rule us.
And,
right?
And as long as we perform all the satanic rituals for them in the overlay, they don't feel guilty. They have no problem with their conscience. I'm sure we're all doing the evil stuff.
We're still choosing to do it. You see,
yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the biggest excuses to them. We have the option not to do what they say, not to be underneath them. So they can rightly turn around and say, well, you chose to do it.
This is why Jabba gets so much heat, because he comes in to show others how to unhinge from the self-obsession. Those who he's directing it at in the conversation are taking it personally because they're still attached to the self-obsession. They're still in the dream world of definitions that define who they think they are. Jabba's going in saying, no, this is not who you are. Right? He's not actually saying these words. This is what this man's been doing all this for years and years. And others are learning to do this, but unless you get past the script of what this man's saying or what this woman's saying, we will still be in the dream world under the image power of another man. And we still don't know who we really are. The confusion still reigns, because it is the confusion that is the chaos that provides the occultists with the justifications of their order to that confusion. So they come in with administrative rights. They come in as representatives of authority, because it's an author of rights. They may offer you the rights, R-I-T-E-S, because it is a satanic ritual. It's a right, right? But it's W-R-I-T-E and it's R-I-G-H-T, because someone believes that the right of a loyal title, the right of a claim, the right of the name on a piece of paper, the right to write in English and direct it to another man is the R-I-T-E. You're still in the curse, processing it. You still don't know who you are. The remedy is to drop all of this, because we are already on land. All of us are just
without self-obsession, can we come to completely know who we are?
Yeah, because you're gifted with it. But that means you have to unnavigate what was navigated as all the mapping out that we entered from so young in the womb. We have to unhook from all of it, because we still don't know who we are, because the definitions, look, the definitions is multi-layered, that forms the background to the system where we are glued. We're glued to it, because that's where the self-obsession belongs. The fake persona, the name of the man is there. You see, we don't need a name to breathe. We don't need a name to eat. We don't need a definition to live.
We don't need the name to be the sun that shines.
Exactly.
It's like when Scott said, in reply to what you posted the other day, you should be able to be in a cell being tortured daily, but you still have a choice to be the sun that shines or not. And if you're not, then you're in self-obsession, because you're thinking about what's happening to poor me. I'm being tortured and it's horrible.
And you believe
stuck
you're
in
dying.
this cell, and yeah, I'm dying, and this, that, and the other. Or you can still be the sun that shines and smile at your torturers every morning and ask them how they are.
Look, all the remains of the last time these nutcases did what they tried to do to create a one world order, a one world government, a one world system, all this stuff, it all was destroyed by themselves. They destroyed everything because they were lying. They were all processing the curse. It just needed some brothers to hold that dream for them so they can experience the outcomes. But for a man or many of brothers and sisters to do that, they have to be selfless and willing to sacrifice everything, right? Which really is no sacrifice, because when you know who you are, there is no sacrifice, because you're already being it. But what you're doing, you're letting them, all the occultists, all those of the aristocracies, all those who claim the rights to the privileges, exclusivity that come out of all of these lies. Let them experience the outcomes of what they are doing to their brothers and sisters everywhere, the trickery of all of this in this life. Let them experience in this life, and the absolute devastation to the whole of their world literally ended overnight. Like that, gone. It was that quick. All right? Yeah, sure. The waters came down, the waters came up, the earthquakes appeared, the earth fever expanded. They experienced the outcome of their distorted dreams. They experienced the creation of what they were creating, because they needed their brothers and sisters to be the slaves for them to build this fantasy world and to set themselves up as the kings and queens and the higher powers of this authority, right? It was all obliterated in one hit. Now, it will happen again, because there are some of us already holding that dream for them. So we say to you, you are my brother. When you talk to, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're the Pope, Black Pope, it doesn't matter who you are, King, Queen of England, Prince this, CEO, stockholders under federations of trusts, and and it just goes on. You hold the dream, you say, you're my brother. You have the right to create whatever you dream for and to experience it. I give you that permission too, and I hold you to that in this life. So your dream becomes higher and more beautiful than theirs. And the more beautiful, the more powerful your dream is, the more you raise it above them, you expand it greater. So basically, you are bringing them into your arms and say, you experience your own death now, right? Without any attachment. There is no anger, there is no retribution, there is no jealousy, there is no vigilantes stuff going on, nothing. This is experience it. But you've got to be free of all this stuff, because you're no longer reacting. You're not reactive. You're not in any kind of trauma, because you're free of all the self-obsession, because there's no blind spots making a mess of your head anymore. So it's people like us who continue pulling the splinters out of people's eyes of those blind spots if they want them taken out. But they've got to do it themselves. We'll help them. We'll lead them to where it is. But they've got to take it out. And we'll inspire them to take it out. Even help them hold their wrist and help them pull it out. Yeah. But they got to do it themselves, because otherwise, look, this man has the ability to observe demons of these obsessions in people and take them out of people's bodies. I've been able to do it for a long time. This man stopped doing it years and years ago. The reason being, because those that where this man took them out of, they just got reinfected, because they don't have that dream, they don't have that passion, that inspiration to let it go themselves. So all I was doing was rescuing them from something they weren't taking responsibility for. So they just get reinfected. So that's why in the Love for Life work, this man's been like a flame with millions of moths. No joke. And I saw this, which ties in what I was talking about in last week's show. But I didn't get myself caught up in any of this, because I realized I am not a beacon for everyone to come to. I'm on the wrong track if I set myself up like that, because that's not the truth, because that makes it another form of self-obsession. So what we got to do is to make it so confronting to other people. If they run away, all the better, because they themselves have got to learn to face it. We've had a lot of people who have blamed this man for the conflicts they are experiencing, when it's their own self-obsession that they're working through. Some is absolute horror that involves children. It involves partners. It involves sexuality. It involves all kinds of jealousy and rage. It involves money. But all this is the processing of curses, right? So even the free man sovereignty movement that we identify today with, it's still a curse, because everyone was led into the mapping out that defined that freedom for them, that mapped out the illusion of what is a constitution and law and the way statute laws work, and just basically the way the whole of the occults work. but they still haven't been able to let go of the name of the man and the attachments to all the definitions that defines that reality. So when you're on the path of working through this and you come to realize that the name is a fiction, and that the person, the straw man, is not real, that it actually is the intellectual property administrated by the Freemasons, the occultists, and their world of blue collars and white collars, right? Or the brainwashed lackeys, drones. You get to a point in all of this where, and I sort of lost my train of thought here, but you get to a point where even all of that has to be let go of, because you're still in the mapping out of the definitions that defines who you think you are. So basically, all the mapping out are each a paver of the yellow brick road that you project before you, and you're walking down that yellow brick road in the land of Oz, or Alice through the looking glass. You're still creating the looking glass of all that definition that forms the all-seeing eye, and you enter inside it, claiming that who you are is there, in it. And that is where this happened on Facebook this last few days ago, where someone is still inside this bubble of wonderland making claims about the land.
Even as they think they can see through all that, you know?
And they're not. They're still trapped, because why would you even open your mouth to make a claim? Because a man who knows what a man is doesn't open mouth to make a claim about anything. You already are on the land.
I think the only claim I'm probably making in the process of coming on YouTube is claiming my dream. You know, I want to live my dream.
Well, you work through that your way, like we all do. But the thing is that what happens to most of us is that we forget that the unique original soul that we have been gifted to create and expand has been forsaken. We ignore it and reject it. And so we get caught up in the pettiness of life, and we fight over things to do with ownership and possessions because of the fake persona, which means we have no longer remember the eternity of our soul. We gave it up.
Another thing, to me, self-obsession is the like opposite of we are. You know, when you say we are one, to me, it involves everyone, and that's what I think it is. We are one. I recognize myself in you guys and everybody around me. So why, Jabba, I gave him often that comment. I finished our conversation, and I say, we are one. And the last time he told, I found it funny. We ended up funny, you know, on the funny note. But he said, yeah, bro, we are one with the psychopath of the world, and something like that. So what's your thought about this?
Because the one is a definition that you're still living inside, and you're trying to create a curse. And that's what he's pointing out to you. You're actually still projecting the curse yourself by making the claim. We're not all one.
Okay. Extend on that. That's very important.
Basically, you're saying here is the shirt everyone wears that is one. Everyone wears the same clothes. We might as well just get everyone wearing the same uniform across all of our brothers, and we're all one. Because the definitions we're mapping out to make the claim. We're not all one. We're unique and original. It's undefinable. There's no man that can be copied by another man.
One is a definition.
The one is a definition.
That's it. If we're all a unique vibrational signature, we're not one.
In the English language, the correct word is whole. W-H-O-L-E, which I pointed out to you many, many times, bro. It's whole. Because then you're not defining anyone about anything. You're accepting the uniqueness and originality to be what it is, because you can't define it. You cannot define what another man is.
And this is where the
English language, you don't define it, because it means you're not answerable to another man, and no man is answerable to you as a man, because we're all unique and original, not one the same as the next. It's undefinable, right? And that's where the living sun shines. But when we make claims of one and oneness, that's a satanic, because it's finite. The number one is a curse, right? Because you can't go into nature and learn about one. Because it doesn't exist. It's a definition. So while we make the claim of the definition, projecting that, we're projecting a curse. The whole new world order is one. One earth, one world, one people, one language, one army, one law.
And this is where they're so very clever with their language, because your sentiments, obviously, when you say we are one, is to be inclusive of all your brothers and sisters, to
Yeah.
try not to push them away, to project love and all that.
Exactly.
But the language you're using has caught your good intentions and your good sentiments. And if you're not careful, that's twisting
That's a
that.
blind
And that's
spot.
actually what we're offering out. And
That's
this is where you get the yes, we shouldn't spend hours getting caught up in all the words we use. Oh, we shouldn't use this word, we shouldn't use that one, because in the end it's all a satanic language and it's what we've got to communicate with. But this is where
we're making sense all the time. If you can make
Yeah.
sense while we're talking language, this language is going right over our heads, but we're sensing each other's intentions. So yeah, it's good to grasp the satanic language and the way that we make claims that keeps us in the curse that we process, right? These are blind spots. So when we make the claim about one, if your heart is in the right place and you're clear about it, you are conscious of the word that you are using and its effect. If you're not conscious, you're actually allowing the curse to continue to be processed by you, by those who make the claim, because it's still a blind spot. And the self-obsession with one continues, right? And that may keep you in Wonderland. It keeps you in the Wonderland.
Sorry, we can get caught up pretty far in this because some people, sometimes like you go on Facebook, some people will say that you're making a claim. I seen that in comments. So, you know, we're very, very much caught up into it.
You confront them. You confront them, right? Because this is what happened with this woman that happened a few days ago.
Yeah.
When we were invited and we started using scrutiny about the claims, right? You see, when we wake up, there's nothing personal going on. Like we just said to you about the word one. If you know who you are, it's just going right over your head, all the words, but you're sensing our intentions and you're looking at how the blind spots are being revealed to you so you can let it go. There's no conflict because we're not interested in engaging in a conflict with you because you're our brother. But it's the love, it's that unconditional love that comes to make clear about the language that is satanic, where the curses are being operated. So what's happening? The intention is to expand consciousness, become more conscious of the unconscious, that is the blind spots of the curse that one is still processing. So that's the difference. So when people make claims about this man used to confront people, and you find they have nothing. They just got their storytelling, like the daffodil is yellow. They are superimposing their shit over this man. And we say, please bring forward proof of the fact of this claim you make. This is where people like that guy Max Eigen years ago, he made up all kinds of bullshit claims. The guy's got nothing. He's a fucking fake con artist. And there's so many people like this out there who are lying and lying through their teeth. And we document everything and we put it all up on the website so others can observe if they want to learn about these things, to show how the occultists operate. And remember, the greatest lie and liar is the one closest to the truth. They cause the greatest damage of all because others learn to trust them, meaning they trust their claims or the invitation to make claims, so they make claims to get sucked into the curse, right? This is the same as those Freemasons that arrived on those UFOs on the land, man on the land, and began to work on ways to get the man on the land to make claims. The occultists come on Facebook. They come to create conflict, to get you to react. You do not react. You can confront without reacting. You can confront your accusers and ask them for the evidence that backs their claims. So it has to be first-party evidence. Their say-so is no different to someone who has a belief in God. We don't want to hear from your belief in God. Bring forward God. Let's hear it from God's own tongue directly, not from a man acting as an imposter of the claim. So when people make claims about you, you confront them from this intention. Bring forward the evidence that this man is a cult leader. This is what people have said about this man. Bring forward the cult. Where is this cult operating? What's the address? What's the bank account? Where are all these cult followers working? Where are all the rewards and riches of this cult providing for this man? Where is it? We have no problem about you making the claim. Back it up. Where is it? Because if this man's a cult leader, let me finish. If this man's a cult leader, I would like to learn if that's the truth so I can walk away from it, because I always go where truth takes this man. I refuse to go where the lie takes me. So if I've got a blind spot, I welcome my brother to open me up to a blind spot, and I will go where the light takes me of the truth. So that's why you confront your accusers, right? So it's the same thing what happened with this Facebook thread a few days ago. You start broaching what people claim. You challenge them. You challenge them. That's what Jabba does. That's where Jabba woke up. A lot of people don't realize Jabba's more further down the road of this waking up than most of us. He really is. He's still got anger. He's still got his issues. But
we have to consider something with Jabba also, his experience in life. He was a major reggae artist on the scene for like over 20 years, I think, and suddenly...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No. But what I mean is suddenly he realized this whole thing. Like that's what you say. He's further down the road than all of us because of his experience. Experience will bring you wisdom in life. No,
it's not a claim that he's better than someone else.
No,
it's just he has had the determination to practice this, to work it out. He's been on the coalface chipping away at this for a lot longer. Most people go to work. Most people sit around talking and dreaming. They're not on the coalface chipping away on the front line. I mean, look, this man is further down the road than literally everyone. I can say that because I've been doing it for 11 or 12 years. That's why this man can argue with anybody. It doesn't mean that I'm better. It doesn't mean that I'm first before anyone else. It doesn't mean that I seek glory. You know what it does to people like this man? We carry more responsibility. We carry more, if you want to call in the system, the waking life demands on this man, because people write to this man, people ring this man, people want to engage with this man, because the more this man brings it out after all those years on the coalface, my life is absorbed with other people wanting to work through their stuff. So this man's got to be very discerning about which ones I take on and which ones I don't, because I've got a life too. I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got family, gardens and other things too. So it doesn't mean that we've fully got it together, that we're the best. It just means that we are more clearer about these things, these arguments, these discussions, because we have put the effort in. We put the due diligence in.
And it's also being prepared, which Jabba has been, to look in the mirror, which is the sticking point for many people. He's been prepared, and, you know, because sometimes we've had private talks about it, to look in the mirror and face the true ugliness of his self-obsession, and which he still has. We do it to each other. We force the mirror in front of each other sometimes and say, look at this.
People don't realize
there's your self-obsession. And it's uncomfortable and it's painful. But because of the determination to see it out, we're prepared to keep having the mirror thrust in front of our faces, even when it's very painful. And that's often the main difference. It's like, are people, like in this Facebook thread, the woman's response to Jabba could have been very different. She could have just kept questioning him. Why are you saying this? I don't see what you're saying.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Why
Can you show me? The same when Arthur came along. Why could she be saying, look, I want to learn. I don't get what you're saying about what I'm doing. That's honesty. Instead of going into emotional reaction, you know?
And become a control freak and shut people down. Do you realize how many times this man has confronted Jabba and ripped the lie of Jabba? You realize how many times this man has done it to Jabba? You know, if you realize the amount of times, you know, Jabba's secure in his heart. He can handle it because he knows there is no real knives of intent to harm that man. All that is happening is we are addressing the inculcation of the self-obsession that has imprisoned Jabba under the cloak of all those definitions that define the fake persona, the rock artist, the rock star, all these things. This is why he's going through a lot of pain. Jabba will tell you he will be experiencing a lot of pain because he's seeing it even more clearer now than ever before. And he's going to realize who his real friends are. He's going to realize all kinds of things now, which is what we've been going through for years. But this is all comes with the territory of the remedy. This is not to recreate more fires, small fires where you get distracted putting them out. It is a true commitment to using vigilance and discernment, attention to detail, to see where the blind spots are and let them go until we are free of all this shit, right? Because that's where the remedy is.
And the true thing as well is that not taking anything personal. The other man, Raymond, what's his surname? Kozowski. Now, I don't know if listeners have come across him. We've known him for years, and I would not be able to count. 12 years. I would not be able to count the amount of times him and Arthur have had massive run-ins, arguing. In the early days, they'd be effing and blinding at each other all over the internet. And yet, you know what? We have huge respect for Raymond. He has huge respect for us. And sometimes he might write to us and say, hey, I think you've got it on the nail, hit the nail on the head. Great. Other times he can write to us and say, Arthur, you've missed it completely, blah, 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 and say his point of view, and they might have an engagement again, and blah. But there's no disrespect there. There's no loss of love. Well, however it finishes, even if it ends up with them going at each other, they know underneath that they still fully love and support their brother.
He can come knocking on the door. Exactly. He can open the door to this man's life and say what he has to say.
But what they're not caught up in, is the political correctness of not being able to disagree, which is a huge thing in our world today that we live in. We think it's bad to have an argument, bad to disagree without all sorts of new age bullshit language making it sound like it's okay to disagree.
To shut you down, so you don't.
The real true friendships are the ones where you can have a big go at each other
and be safe.
It's not personal.
Be safe.
It's like your children. Your children should be able to turn around and say, "I hate this and I hate that and the other." If they can do that, they're safe. They feel safe enough to express themselves. If they don't, and that's the biggest thing. Most people do not feel safe enough to express what they're really truly feeling about a situation.
So they put up a front and fake it, right? And that's what happens just about everything we engage with in the system. It's true. They have fake fronts.
Yeah, I haven't bring back up that story, what happened with Jabba and me, but there's something happened. But if you don't claim, if we are not, because I just want to overstand the whole thing. If we are not to fall into claiming that someone is this or is that, or defining another man or another man, or things like that. If Jabba is so aware, so why did he do that video on me? I've never seen the video, but I just seen the title, and he's redefining me as being Lie-Mon instead of Tru-Mon. So it's a claim.
This is where you got it wrong. He didn't do that to you. I watched that video too, and I got it. I can see exactly where he was coming from.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, we watched it. How would you know? We watched the video after it was pointed out. We didn't know it was been up for all that time, but he was not coming from any of that. He was just showing the definitions. These are our words. That was imprisoning where you look. The whole thing with Mama Queen, all this stuff that came up was a pretty powerful situation, and she was under your skin, manipulating trauma for you that caused you to go off the way you went.
But that's an assumption. That's an assumption. You're not me. Nobody is me. Nobody is in my skin. So nobody knows what's under my skin. That's a claim.
It happened because the evidence is there in the work. You can see it. It's clear in daylight. But the point was, one starts to become very protective of these things. When you wake up, there's nothing to protect because there's nothing to lose. You see, and there's a whole lot of other stuff. This self-obsession stuff, this is what came up for this woman the other day. This is going to come up because this is where the remedy is. When we can confront these things, when we can really see it, we overcome the fake definition of what is a happy man, the fake definition of what is a peaceful man, the fake definition of what is to rise and shine, the fake definition of what is love and what is a good man. We got to get past it. Like I said, we had a guy came here who was brilliant in confronting people over the internet, using the insights of Love for Life and many things. And we, and over the years, we felt, oh God, this guy must be really progressing. Wow. And he wanted to come and stay with us. But when he arrived here after all these years, and we looked at him as one of the, wow, this guy's really been on the coalface and stuff for all these years. He came here loaded with an ego trip, totally mimicking Love for Life. He was able to do it in his head, but he couldn't live it and be it and walk the talk as the man himself. He couldn't do it. And that's where Jabba's coming from. That's where we're coming from. Most people don't know how to really walk that talk. That does not deny the fact that, we're not having a go at you. Because what we're saying,
not totally clear. Even after what you explained me there, it's still not going through why he did it. Like, why do this? Why? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You got to explain this. You got to go deeper because I don't get it.
The definitions that define who we are.
I don't see why you do this.
And what's happening. Look, when you look at what happened with this woman, you'll see how often she reacted. Now, Mama Queen was brilliant in this manipulation. This is what they are called. That's why she's a priestess of the snake. She comes in to manipulate these things and to manipulate these blueprints. It's what the occultists do. They
Yeah,
come
but
from
it's nothing I felt. I never felt that. I never felt manipulated. This is what I kept saying. And even that day we talked together, I told you I never felt manipulated. I'm the one here feeling, having interacted with her.
That all I'm pointing out to you, look, okay, let's talk about you now. You can be so impressionable that you'll not agree with things that we say, right? And I noticed that in one of your videos,
Not that I don't agree. I want to overstand.
You know what? How many people come to us? Only some people come to us and they nod and say, because they really don't know what to really say. They're not comfortable enough to be able to be really sincere and be able to directly express the truth of the bigger picture of who they are in conversation with another man. Most people will nod. Like when I ran business for 20 years, and I had many hundreds of staff over those years, many hundreds of staff over the years. The amount of times you'd communicate and some would nod, but the communication wasn't there. It's the same with many people we meet. They nod because they don't know what else to do, because really they don't yet comprehend and understand what's going on. Or they don't always understand, but they don't yet comprehend what's going on. They just fake the nod. So the communication is still broken. And then they go on and fuck up in whatever it is you pointed out to them not to do. They still go and fuck up in the garden. They fuck up with
I don't want to understand. This is the thing. I don't want to be under. I want to overstand the whole thing. So that's why I'm saying that.
Look, you are your own man. But you got to, like the rest of us, what we're saying now is what we still do to each other. Yeah. In spite of what people write to us with all these amazing things people say about us, they don't realize you could call it the war zone of our own conflict, where we continue to confront each other about parts of our self-obsession that keeps coming up in our behaviors, because it's so ingrained as a pattern, it's so automatic that we, to become truly conscious, we've got to become aware of all these instant click, reactive things that we do, because we've not had the time to stop and observe it.
And I think this is where possibly we have, I'll say we've been very lucky to have each other, even though a lot of the time
you lit up.
Even though a lot of the time we're like, we're hating each other because of that scrutiny that we put each other under. But a lot of people do not have that sort of a relationship in their life where they can continue to, and we're not at it like 24/7. Quite often he'll do something and I might see the pattern, but I won't say anything, because you don't want to be living in a constant war zone. But you find the right moment and you go chick 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 chick, or he'll do it to me, bang 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 bang. So it's not like every day in day out we're at each other, but we know each other very well, so we notice and we will bring it up, and we listen and we will bring it up, not at a certain time. So we might go for several days, and it doesn't mean we'll be arguing every day. It just means suddenly it'll bang, something will come to a bit of a head, but it will be very intense and very honest with no holds barred. Yeah. And most people do not have that in a relationship with someone who knows them really well, so they can't fake it. They can't get away with pretending it's not. And I think more and more, especially in these days, people are getting more and more separated from each other. There are so many single, lonely men, single, lonely women. They're not close enough to their families to have that sort of relationship. And so they don't have that mirror being shone at them. So you have to have that determination like Jabba has to keep putting the mirror up for himself. And he writes to us as well. And we put the mirror up for him too. And that's why he's learned. And that's what that determination is. And and good for you, you're saying right now, I don't see this, I don't get this, which is exactly what I'm saying. That woman should have been saying, instead of reacting to Jabba, instead of reacting to Arthur, why is she not saying, but look guys, I just don't get what you're on about. I think I'm doing this and this. Where is it? Now if she's really sincere, she'll be inviting them to keep going. If she's not sensing that they're not coming from a place where they're trying to stab knives into her, they're just trying to help.
A classic example, we said to her, well, why are you making a claim when you're already on the land? Why are you claiming the land when you're already on the land? If you're already on the land, why would you claim it? Meaning, why are you using the fiction to be on the land? Why do you need other people's approval for you to be on the land? You see, when you know who you are, you're not answerable to anybody about anything, because you're a man of do no harm. You're a man of peace. So Why would anybody want to take an interest in what you're doing when you're no threat to them for anything? So unless there's some intention, some malevolent intent going on somewhere that could impact the forest, that impacts the children of the tribe that we are part of, that impacts brothers and sisters of the tribe, that impacts anything, we have no interest to be involved in you being on the land, because no one owns it. We're all custodians and caretakers. We're all that shine, that light, you see. But in the system, being raised up by the definitions, we have formed fake personas that look so much like the real thing, but it's still not real. It's still fake, and it causes conflict because we push away from other people. We don't engage in conversation to pursue it right to the very end. We don't know how to do it. We give up because the justifications of the ego ends it so early in the piece. So we never ever go to the very extreme. You know, people live with me, and will tell you the truth. When I can get into a rant about a situation, and I will unload until I'm out the other end of that rant. But the whole rant was holding the bigger picture of what this man felt was going on. It was not about the man's own obsession. It was about the bigger picture. So the man provides a lot of information to build that bigger picture for others to sense about their predicament, or about the predicament that affects all of us, right? So I will often do that to her. I will have a rant with her about her repression and depression. She'll have a go with me about my aggression and about my control freak mechanisms that I had that tendency to fall into from so young. Now, she won't come to me often with a rant. She'll wait for that quiet time when Mrs. Calm, the front she puts up, and then she'll drop it in when she thinks it's a good time to mention it to me, right? She's still sticking the knife really deep in, man. Like the knife's going in really hard. Look at that black heart of yours, that part of you. I want help. Can you let it go? And she'll smile and see the blood oozing out of me, and I'm dying before her. The ego's dying while she's killing me, right?
I'm drinking the blood.
She's drinking, yeah, you know, vice versa. I will just go, you know, and she'll sit there quietly and take it all in. She does. And then in the days later, we laugh about it, we look at it, and we keep looking at it because we realize, shit, you know, she's right. Shit, he's right, you know. And we keep looking at the dynamics because we don't want to bring any of this into the kingdom dream. And the only reason why the kingdom dream doesn't progress is because we're the ones holding it back. We hold it back because we still yet fully do not know completely who we really are. You see, it's not just thinking it. You got to be it. But to be it, you've got to be truly conscious about everything. So there's no unconscious reactive patterns going on during your waking life.
And what's a better way to sense the intention of someone also? Because when we go on social media like Facebook, that's why I don't engage too much on Facebook, because like people sometimes very big problems sensing them. And like, how can we get to a point that we
practice
more? Like, it's hard sometimes to go on social media and do anything because sensing the intention is of someone by writing is
keep confronting,
practice,
keep
practice,
confronting,
like everything. Practice.
Confront.
It's like my girl, someone said to me, "Oh, how come you're so good at that? You know, something I'm doing in the house or something." I say, practice. I've been doing it for 30. I've been doing it for 20, 30 years. That's why I can do that in 5 minutes flat, and it's taking you half an hour. It's the same with sensing intentions, the same with dealing with people. I find more and more now I can meet someone and I can just sense back beyond everything. I sense their depression or their unhappiness or whatever, and they think they're not showing anything of that. But I've learned to sense it, and it's only through
it's
practice.
Like a dog. When a dog comes up and sniffs you, the information that dog gets of you with one sniff is beyond comprehension. You can't even fit it in a library. All the information of one sniff, the senses, every alphabet thought in your head. You got to think about it. You got to slow it. Look, it's like driving a car too fast. The head is spinning with all the definitions that keeps outside a blur. So when people like us come along, they're trying to make sense or trying to work out what are these people coming on, because it's got to filter through the blur of their head spinning with all the definitions, because that's all they got, because that's all they have to form their fake identity, their fake persona, that self-obsession. All of it are blind spots. So you've got to sense. Sense is not a single alphabet thought in your head. You have to sense. You got to smell it. You got to hear it. You got to see it. You got to taste it. You got to touch it. You got to feel it, because it's outside of the self-obsession.
And you've got to be willing to go against what seems logical or whatever, if your gut is telling you that that's the case. As in, you can meet someone, as I said, and they're saying all this the right things, and they're acting, and everything seems fine, but and there is nothing to back that you can see, obviously nothing to back your gut feeling that's telling you.
Excuse me.
Whoops, off you go. Your gut feeling that's telling you what you're sensing about the man, but you have to be prepared to go with that gut and go, yep, you know what, and that comes down to your own doubt and uncertainty about you know, trusting your senses over the intellectual thought that everything else is telling you, you know, all the material and face value stuff that you're seeing. You got to be trusting that gut, and the more you trust that gut instinct about the people you meet or come across, the more you learn to, the stronger those senses become. You've got to trust.
When you get to know a person a little bit more, it's easier to sense the intention. But like you go on Facebook, what I was saying, and Jabba, not everybody might know Jabba. Me, I don't get offended. I know him, and I'm able to talk to him after all that happened. But because I don't take things personal, but sometimes people, they don't know him, and he's just coming with his stuff.
Well,
that's the biggest, that's the biggest reason why there are so many problems between people, not only on Facebook, but in real life, because people don't get that intention. So they do react when perhaps there was no insult intended. And that's also why we tiptoe around each other on tenterhooks, because we are also aware that things can be taken wrong. And so we're sort of, instead of just being straight shooters and saying it and being able to be honest with each other, we tiptoe around each other all the time because we're so worried that someone's going to get offended when we actually don't mean to offend anybody, and blah, 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 blah. And
it's like taking your child to a shop, and the child looks at the lolly and says, Daddy, can I have that? And Daddy knows that there's a little tiny bit of poison in that lolly, in this nice shiny wrapper that's presented to the child, and the child's going, yes, I'd like to eat that. Now, the dad can say, oh, yeah, it won't matter. One tiniest bit of poison won't matter to my child. Yeah, okay, son, you can have it. And then something else comes along. It could be a glass of water that comes from a tap. And the dad knows there's a bit of chlorine and fluoride in that water. He's like, oh, it won't matter. You know, okay, son, you can have that, you know. Now, you can have a whole day of these tiny, tiny little bits of a lie mixed in amongst the truth of food and water. And because we need to eat and we need to breathe and all this stuff, right? So we have allowed so many lies to come into us that the lies to now dominate more than the goodness of our heart in what we eat and what we breathe and what we drink, because it is everywhere. The self-obsession is the same. We come up with so many justifications and survival patterns, and we always keep people at a distance because it's no different than little poison in the lolly. The shiny wrapper is the fake persona we put up there. Hey, I'm a nice guy. I'm a non-violent guy. I'm a non-confronting guy. Hey, look, you know, now look, the mantras that come with this are staggering. It's staggering for so many of us. If we do not confront, now, if the dad was really responsible, he'd say, look, son, I don't want you to eat that because it does carry harm inside it. And the harm, look, I'm going to take you to a children's hospital. I want you to see others out there in the world, what's happened to them, right? Because the byproducts of vaccinations, of the inculcation of all these definitions, the trauma that all comes with it, has created it's like the cauldron of the witch's brew. And inside there's the cackling witch going, I'm going to fuck you all over, put you all under my spell. And every drop of water is that lie. And she's going to get you to drink it and take it. And this is all the curse. It's all that inculcation. It's all that definitions. We run around with a fake persona. Fiona and I were with you for a while. I'm sure we could prick your bubble. We'd have no problem.
I know my life is cursed. I told you.
Yes, but the point is not because we want to be right, because we're sincere that we don't want the lie to mix amongst us, and we don't want our own lie mixing amongst us, because we want to be free of all the lies. The dream of kingdom is to be free of all of it. So it's not we're all one coming together holding hands in unison to create a new earth or a new one world, whatever. Because that means everybody is all sucking on the nipples while holding hands, going, we're all one, being all led down the yellow brick road of definitions that define why they all holding their hands together, sucking their thumbs, defaulting to the system, because that's the psyops of the occultists, how they're manipulating everybody. The true remedy is to confront the conversation that we have inside our head, to confront the emotional patterns of what we drink, what we eat, what we smoke, what we do in everything that we do. That's it.
Yeah,
but this without making someone wrong. You can't make someone wrong, because you don't come from the conflict of I'm better than you, I'm right, you're wrong. You don't do that. You come from the passion, from the sincerity of the truth, and you put it out there. Because if, look, let me finish this. If the light is not there, there is no light for those lost in the darkness to come to it. There won't be anything, because all it will be darkness. It will be the witch's brew, because the dad that led the child to the lie in the lolly has led the child to the lie in fucking everything, and all the child knows is the lie, including the fake identity of the person that was defined by the mum and the dad and everyone else that the child was brought up by. And so the child is lost in darkness, because the one bit here, one bit there grows to be a massive, massive lie. So it's very subtle. The greatest lie in lie is the one closest to the truth, right? In the middle of the word belief is the word lie. In the middle of the word lie is I. And I is the self-obsession. It's the all-seeing eye. It justifies. It does everything to survive the fake persona. We get so many people who come to us. I had recently a German guy, who came talking about divinity and love and goodness. I only mentioned about certain things to him within 20 minutes. This guy never turned up. He wanted to come here and visit us. He never came. I scared him off, because I actually burst the bubble.
Pointed out the lie.
I pointed out the lie, but it was too uncomfortable, because it's all he's got.
Because that's what I was thinking. Of all the people who've come here, we always give them full disclosure before they come of what that, you know, we don't muck around. We're going to be pointing out the lies, blah, blah, blah. And they always want it. They always want it, because in truth, that's what most people are coming for. They actually want us to help them with their stuff, which is their self-obsession, though we haven't always named it that. But they always run, because when we get to it, the pointing out of the lie is just too painful. So but what it has is, like, people usually have a certain level of the lies in who they are that they recognize, but they're still in deep denial of all the other really big lies underneath those surface lies. So they're already comfortable with their surface lies and assume that that is what we're going to be addressing. But we get fairly quickly down to the deeper lies, and that's usually way too painful for them to deal with. And it is painful. What we've been through together.
It's painful because most people are coming. Look, everyone is coming out of trauma. You cannot be in the system without trauma. You will be in denial and lying if you think you have not got trauma, because the definition is trauma. Anything that's defined reality to you is trauma, because it is the confusion that has kidnapped you from who you really are, because you have not created the living dream of your life. You have not created the living dream of freedom and peace and truth and all the aspirations of your heart that shines. It's been defined. And so it's in here that we need to destroy, not as in war, but in letting go. We've got to be strong enough to be able to say, I'm willing to go through the mudroom. And if you read the Steps of Kingdom, we talk about the mudroom. The mudroom is where we work together to confront this fucking lie and get rid of it. So all of us who are strong enough can move out of the lie of the system to recreate ways of life amongst tribes where everyone has space, everyone has freedom, everyone has uniqueness, originality, everyone has truth, abundance, joy, and all that, and community, without needing to lean on another man for it, because the passion of the other man's already there doing it and being it. You do not need to unite under the lie to create paradise, because that is not paradise. That is a uniform, controlled mechanism of the lie that is no different to the cage that we're in now in the system. We're all in a prison of it. See, we destroy who we are by our own good heart. We think our good heart, attached to the definitions, makes it all right to create an echo community that is going to recreate a paradise through permaculture. But if we don't recognize the self-obsession, you'll have brothers and sisters still claiming land, still claiming children,
Claiming
still claiming definitions. And when you do that, you need the system to protect what you claim that you own. And with that comes enforcement, because the enforcement becomes the ego that must go to war to conflict with another brother, because the man who's infected by the curse of the claim is threatened by another man. And that's why people default to the system. That's why the curse in money is so powerful, because people still cling to the material side of money because it gives them the land title deeds under the mortgage of their death certificate to process the curse on the land under the occultists who administrate the land title deeds, where they are processing their curse. All the while, because they're educated slaves. You cannot be in the system and not be under trauma, because you're educated. If you're educated, you've been done over with already. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot more than all of this to break it, to get back to paradise where our ancestors were before they fell. Right? So this kingdom is not a hand manual. This is not a book where we say you got to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, right? To be a real free man and living in a do no harm way of life. What we do, we provide pointers, checklists, but you have got to confront, and you and your partners and those your friends, and if you were involved with us, you confront us and we confront you to make sure that you're not living the lie, that you're not under the fake persona, faking out a claim about who you think you are. Because if you do that, you're just going to reinvite. You create the curse to you. You will draw the darkness to you, no matter where they may be. These occultists, they'll come and find you because that's their world. Their world of darkness.
Someone said, why does it have to be confrontational communication? I don't get it. And me, I get a bit of her point, but that's the way I see it also. Why do we have to confront people? Absolutely. Why can't we just let our light shine and they pick it up? Like why we must confront people? Like me, I'm not.
Video. The answer was already made very clear in this video and the previous video. Whoever's written it is either new to this and not knowing it, or still deep asleep. So apologies to whoever you are. You don't really yet. You need to go back and rewatch all these videos, because the answer is so clear. The self-obsession is still blinding you. You're still lost in the nonsense. Confrontation is not the system explanation of confrontation. You get
Explain
that?
Us.
The sun shines. Why does the sun shine? Why does the sun shine? Because it is what it is. It cannot be defined. It is. Yet it shines. We have all been living.
I'm sorry. I might look. I'm relearning everything, Arthur. I've just woke up from a nightmare. I'm relearning everything, so I don't know nothing. So you have to be patient with me.
You have an attachment to the word confrontation. If you bring an emotional story that comes with it, that is caught up in the self-obsession that would define who you think you are. So you still have a conflict with the word, and you attach the word with this man who uses that word. That's what that woman did a few days ago when the man was pointing out about the claim over land. The confrontation is not an act of war. Right? You look, do you want an immune system that accepts the lie into your life by allowing the cancer to take a leg, because all is one, all is good, and we don't want to confront, we want to work together and be peaceful? Is that the kind of immune system that you want? Or do you want an immune system that's like an elephant gun and says, fuck you, but it doesn't do it with violence. It does it with unconditional love, where it absorbs it all. Excuse me, I've been drinking this juice, and transmute it. So it does no harm to you, and it is ended too. It doesn't harm anybody else. That is not confrontation in that way. It's not violence. It is the ability to take on and own, take responsibility for it and transmute it. That comes with no doubt, no uncertainty. It comes with, this is where the real waking up is. And unless people come to it, you will fake it You will fake it, and you'll have a whole world of stereotyping that has mapped out the kind of a behavior of a man that is a man who does no harm. All that will be fake.
Just think, you have children. Yes, Jabba, we have children. Now, you come across your child in the street and somebody's picking on your child, whether that is other children or whether it's a stranger coming to try and abduct him or whatever. Now, do you just stand there and be the light that shines? Or do you get in there and say, hey, that's my son, get out of here? You know, and that's the confrontation of true love. If you see a stranger trying to abduct your child, you're not going to just stand there and radiate, are you? You're going to get in there and go, get away from that, because you love your child, and your responsibility is to protect your child from harm, and that stranger is harm. You got to get rid of the harm, and we have to be prepared to confront the harm in our lives that we are all doing.
Look, people are so naive to do what you dream for, to have freedom on the land, is a huge threat to all the occultists, because their job is to keep you as a prisoner in their slave system. You wanting to break away from the system is a precedence they do not want to see happen. They must nullify such a precedence, because it means that a whole chain gang of slaves will also want to break away from the system of Egypt and leave this hell system. So the occultists will do everything they can through any form of trickery to keep you enslaved. Right? Because right now, while we're talking freedom, everyone around us are slaves in the system. There will not hardly be anyone who's not waking up, going to bed, who doesn't have a contract with the system. They're still under Caesar's rule. They're still in the system while they still have aspirations for freedom. That's not going to fix it. That's not enough. So the confrontation is not confronting Caesar's army and going to war and battle like American Indians and cowboys. It's not about gunfire. It's about truly walking away from it all, but still being present. Your life is present. Its presence is everywhere, in the moment, shining as the man, because there is no death. You have not died. You are a living soul. And it doesn't matter what they do, because your living soul is eternal. It is you cannot destroy it. But if you sell out to the definitions and get caught up with the explanations of words like definitions, you are dying, because it's reactive for you. And if you're reactive, you're in the self-obsession, processing the curse of the lie of your definition that forms the fake persona that you think you are. And that's where you fuck yourself over. And you're gone. But the denial and the apathy of this is huge. It's massive. There's no echo community going to save you. There is no harbor out there that you can sail into to get safety that way. You've got to already be it and be the man. And when you meet another brother, sister who's also being it, then the sun and the light amplifies even more. But it doesn't have an emotional dependency on another man to be that. That man's free, and the man is free. It has no association to claiming another man. It's the same with the land. You don't make a claim over land. You don't have any claim to any man. You're already on the land right now. The only reason why you're in suburbs and under concrete, because you still got claims, like we do.
Confrontation doesn't have to be, like if you say to your child, hey, you haven't done the dishwasher today, that's actually confrontation. Now, it doesn't mean there's any aggression or anger or whatever involved. You're just reminding your child about their responsibilities that they agreed to do. And so what's the problem with confrontation? You know, it's just, as Arthur said, it's just the emotion we attach to confrontation. Oh, confrontation means aggression, means telling each other this, that, and the other. This doesn't have to have any of that involved in it. It's just
seriously.
Okay, hold on. There's something happening in the chat. We got to clarify this because it's on fire. There's people, you know, we're not on Facebook here by writing. No, we're live and direct. I think it's pretty easy to sense our intention here. Just sometimes by feeling people, you know, many people know what I'm doing here. You know my intention. And if you go look at Arthur's work on his channel, you will sense his intention. Now they're saying you're angry and stuff like that, and that you blame everything on the office. And many people do not get what you're saying.
Because it's their anger.
Like, yes, I don't know. He seems to be very upset.
Let me tell you right now, come here and visit us and come and experience this upset and anger here in this house. Come here and find it. Because you'll find it's your own upset, it's your own anger inside you. That is your own self-obsession. You're playing out and you're trying to project like the daffodil is yellow. And you're trying to hood us under your own obsession by bringing us into conflict with you. That's why you're making the claim that Arthur's angry and Arthur's upset. There is no anger or upset here going on whatsoever. Nothing. Nothing. But why don't you come here?
Listen,
here,
even after...
Come here into this space and experience it.
That's the reason why we do this, to sense our intention a little bit more. This is how the occults work. This is a satanic ritual in practice. Whoever's making those claims is performing a satanic ritual right now, putting us under the storytelling of the image power of that they describe. Because a guy might have a beard, he may talk a certain way, his passion may be expressed a certain way, it reminds them of something else somewhere else, and they suddenly instantly go, oh, this man's angry. This man has got issues. Let me tell you, it's the other way around. This man can communicate and talk about these things, but this man is not angry. Why should I be angry with someone who's a stranger in my life? Have you injured my children? Have you stolen something from this man that I should be angry with you? What have I done in your life to cause you to have grievance with this man? Bring forward the evidence. What has this man done? Anything. You'll find you've got nothing. Because all you've got is your own shit. And that's your shit you're going to have to address. You're going to have to address your own shit here.
And this is a really, really good example. Thank you very much to whoever's saying that, because we've got right now, live and present, an example of exactly what goes on when people actually try and get together usually with an aim or something to create something, whether it's kingdom or whatever. Because in the end, people just start projecting their own stuff onto the people around them that they're dealing with. That's why they can never stick together, because in the end...
You see, the system is about kidnapping reality. What that man or woman has just done, or they've tried to kidnap this man to bring them under the personality of the man they're impersonating. They've already decided to impersonate this man by kidnapping him so they can perform the ritual of this man being angry and this man being whatever they claim this man to be. But they are now no different to the daffodil is yellow. We kidnap the life form so we can impersonate it under the definitions and make claims about it, when all of it is a fantasy. It never happened. Because the man talks the way the man talks, the way the man expresses, this man's unique and original. Why would you want to control this man? Because whoever makes these claims is a control freak. Because you don't like the way the man is communicating. That's because you have already mapped out the definitions of what is a communication that suits you. And you'll run away from the communication when it doesn't meet within the boxes of your belief system, because you're still living the lie of the I. Because this I is your anger. And it's good that you, and what Fee said, it's good that you bring it up, but it is your own shit. Are you prepared to face it? Now, if you don't think it's happening, come here and find out the shit is here.
You'll find shit, but not necessarily the shit you think you're going to find.
Exactly.
And it's really it's true, because this is what we do to other people throughout our lives. Constantly. And we take other people personally way, way more than is necessary. I mean, we had a friend who's no longer around, but he used to come and he used to rant. And he used to have big rants. And it wasn't at us or about us, but he just used to come and get things off his chest. He'd be pacing around the room, because he was pissed off with something. Now, we never took that personally, because we knew it wasn't about, and yet we could have looked at him and gone, why are you angry? You're angry. Why are you betraying this anger in front of us? What have we done to make you angry? And yet we both realized that his anger, it wasn't anything to do with us. Sure. We were just providing him a safe space where he could come and have a rant. Exactly. He'd have his rant, and then we'd move on to other things. I never minded. It was always
You see, the thing is, people think they're psychic, right? Like the man or woman has made that claim. Are you psychic? Are you practicing black magic? Are you practicing remote viewing right now? Remote control, remote projection? Are you in this room right now with us here? In this room with us here? Have you lived with this man? Have you had any personal experiences where you directly live with this man over a period of time so you know the man. Because see, what happens, people practice the occults by projecting their bullshit of psychic possession. They want to possess another man to bring that man into the package of the storytelling that they define their reality. So this man, because this man is the way this man is, you've used it as a form of conflict. And you're trying to invite this man into an argument with your own shit. So this is why I say to people when they do this, are you psychic? Are you here in this room right now projecting your consciousness in here? Are you here right now? Please show us where the grievances come from that's brought you into making such claims. How do you know that this man is angry?
I don't know. I'm about to block him. I'm about to block him. I have the button on block, the finger on block. I'm about to press block.
They can do whatever they want.
I was thinking about it.
He has no evidence. All he got is his own claim. Right? That's no different to someone who's trapped in the belief system of the lie.
But then I get all the self-obsession going through my head while I have the button on the finger on block, and I'm thinking about you talking.
That's just why this is really good. These things happen because unless this man will have dreams for freedom. This is why he's on your show. Whether he's because of the Rastafari music side, taking a listen in the show, or whether he has an interest in the bigger picture.
It's a flat earth fanatic. Flat earth fanatic. Call it like that.
Well, I can tell you right now, there is no flat earth. If you watch the videos with Janik, unless you can step back and see the bigger picture, flat earth is just one part of it. Because you're still lost in the storytelling, the definition. Flat earth is just giving you a place to run your ego trip so you can know, because there's a self-obsession program running it. It doesn't bring you freedom and truth and peace and joy right now in your life. All it's offering you is conflict. And that's all you brought to the table right now is conflict. With someone who's never harmed you and never injured you. And that shows you how fucked up you are, whoever you are. Shows you how still fucked up you are.
Yeah, he has a channel with videos too. I thought he was more aware than that. I see his level of awareness. Maybe he's not ready for that kind of stuff. That's what someone told him. He said, maybe you shouldn't be here.
When you attach all the lying, you can use flat earth to ignore the bigger picture of your own self-obsession, because people need to vent. They need to vent something to make themselves feel good about themselves, about the bigger picture. There's always some kind of emotional attachment they have to it, and that's why they run it. That's why the flat earth is a cult movement. The whole thing is a cult movement. You know, everything about the truth. Look, the occultists lied about everything and everything through the generations, and all that lying was done by Freemasons who were occultists. Behind the religion of the church was done by occultists. All the history books that we were lied about was done by occultists. Then you get occultists who come to reveal the truth of all those lyings done by their brothers and sisters, all their predecessors. And then they set themselves up as, look at this guy setting up the truth, like Eric Dubai. Look, notice me. I'm a nice guy. I'm revealing the truth about all these lies. But if you don't step back and see the bigger picture, you still get sucked into the occults and the manipulation of the psyops that Eric Dubai offers that comes with flat earth, because it is a cult. Now, that's another subject that we've already covered in the first 3 videos of the background to the system, part 1, part 2, part 3. Go and watch them, because it covers the whole Eric Dubai crap. It's all bullshit, right? Lineal instruments does not define reality. You're relying on lineal equipment, which, look, again, you're looking through the telescope and the microscope. Your head is spinning with lineal stuff. That's not proof of fact. You're still not sensing the bigger picture. Because, see, uniqueness and originality is in everything, in every grain of sand, in every leaf. But if you don't sense that, you'll think that the oneness of flat earth is it. It's not. No one can arrive at the end of what's flat. No one can arrive at it because there isn't one. Lineal reality is a lie. And you've been messed with the occults of lineal stuff, lineal instruments.
Shapeless.
Exactly.
And it has nothing
Shapeless.
And it has nothing to do with your living dream. It is not your living soul. You're in the dream of another man who defined it for you, and you're lost in that, which means you continue to give up creating your unique original soul. This is all explained in these videos with Hawishani. and in the about sections of all the other links. It's not your dream, but you fight for something that you cling to because you still don't know who you are. And you use it as your argument to take on another brother and attack it. Eric Dubai, I have no hatred to Eric Dubai, the man. Eric Dubai has been confronted and has been exposed for all the lying that comes with all the harm. That's why I said he's a cunt. And that's why he's a prick. And Eric Dubai will not confront Arthur Christen, the man, or Fiona Christen, the woman, because he can't, because he knows we'll ask him all the right questions and rat him out. He doesn't know where to go because we're so further outside the box and we know how he's operating. That doesn't make us better than Eric Dubai, the man. We're just exposing the lie of Eric Dubai. Flat Earth is bullshit. It is absolute, utter bullshit, because all the while you're running around as a flat Earth, you'll be one of those still sucking on the system. You'll still have contracts in the system. A man who's woken up has none of those contracts. So the whole of flat Earth defaults to the system. With everyone in the argument of it, you're still trapped as a slave. You haven't woken up. You still haven't woken up to the psyops that go on, how this is performed. So you want to come after this man to engage with you, whoever you are, with your own claims. I can ask you, what has this man done to injure you? Don't feign emotional bullshit, because that's just no different to someone acting in Alice in Wonderland in the story, in the script. You can react your own script anytime you like. This man has never injured you emotionally. Is this man stolen something from you? Have you lived with this man and you have a grievance because something this man's done to you? Because if it isn't, where's it all coming from? All this emotion. Where's it all come from? Because it's not here.
I don't know, but by reading his comments, he seems pretty, I don't know, perturbated, or I don't know what's the qualification. I didn't think he was like that. It's a guy that I had on my channel for a while, but I thought he had more, I don't know, more manners than that. First of all, he's speaking very dirty in there. I don't know.
That's his stuff all come up. That's all he's got to survive with. He's surviving his own belief system. And he believes that that people like us are hurting him and injuring him. He still carries hurt inside this man. Yeah. And he thinks that we are responsible for this hurt. Otherwise, where's the effort coming from that compels him to perform this here in this show?
He's the only one taking it personal in there. Everyone else is overstanding the message.
Where is the effort coming from?
So I don't know.
That compels him to perform this. Because there has to be some kind of real grievance that he's been injured by us.
Speaking dirty, he's wondering why I say speaking dirty. He called you a bald-head something before, dirty white man. So he's even ignoring his own claim.
He can call this man whatever he likes. That's still not proof of fact.
What, thinks I'm crazy?
Not proof of fact. He doesn't want to recognize the magnificence, the uniqueness of each of us. He's still blaming others for what is happening for him. He's still in a state of loss. He's still in a state of loss about something he's fighting for, because he thinks it's been taken from him. Hence, he's come after this man and this woman. Right? So look, getting back to the bigger picture. The mudroom of the kingdom thing is for people, for brothers and sisters who are sincere, who want to break away from the self-obsession of all this stuff. Because your living soul cannot be defined by anybody. No one can define it for anyone. Flat Earth can't define your living soul. Flat Earth is not going to put food on your table, make the sun shine. It's not going to make anything work. Flat Earth is just a concept. It's no different to the Lord of the Rings and getting lost in the fairy tale of it. You see, and you think that somehow it's going to give you relief to the shit that you've been through all your life. And most people go through this sort of stuff. They cling to Christianity, or they cling to Buddhism, or they cling to something New Age or atheism, because it is a survival mechanism that is set to whatever has been done, where who you really are was stolen, because it was kidnapped. Even if you're in denial of that, you're still experiencing the effects, because that's why we react. What compelled, you see, this guy who's upset, what compelled him to react? That had to put the energy into putting whatever he's written, because I'm not reading that stuff, whatever he's put into it. What's the motive behind it?
I don't know.
What's he going to gain from that? Well, this is what people do. This man has been angry. This man has been through rage. This man has been through many things through this man's life. No doubt about that. Not questioning any of that. But again, the remedy to the system is to stop kidnapping brothers and sisters, which we do when we work as blue collars and white collars. When we still live for the system, when you still go to the shops to buy food, you're still kidnapping brothers and sisters to be the slaves that you have defined for them to provide you with the services that you cling for. When you go to anywhere in the system to get what you want, you are kidnapping everybody because you are impersonating the real life of each man to be what they are, so you can have the motor car, to have the car maintained, to have the petrol through the petrol trucks, the roads, the highways, all the things that involve taxation, administration in every area of commerce and banking and insurance and politics and public service and the whole law system. You are kidnapping every single man for you to have what you want from the system. But you don't want to see that. You don't want to take on that kind of responsibility, because to take on that kind of responsibility is to walk away from it all and not support it anymore. And that means you cannot run these routines of rage and anger anymore, because that's the only place it can operate is in the system of this conflict, of this darkness.
He thinks, you see, he's caught up into very much. I keep telling him to stop freaking out, stop taking it personal, all that stuff, but he's still saying he's talking about me. You're not talking about him. You're talking about him, yeah, he's acting, but it's not directed to him.
He's kidnapped you now, and he's trying, he's acting individual. Look, he doesn't realize how he's still doing it. Look, in the system, the self-obsession is this, right? When Jabba talks to you about things and says to you, he's not out to kidnap you. He doesn't need anything from you to be who he is. But he's still prepared to say what he wants to say, whatever he's inspired to say.
That was
with all this shit. It's the same with us, right? It's the same with us and all of us. We all do this. If you want true freedom, you have to return to an undefined reality that you create, which means you don't make claims about anything, about anyone. And that's how you set man around you free. Because when you're no longer dependent on another man for you to run these routines, these rituals, because it is conflict. While you still want the roads to be maintained, you're in conflict with all the brothers who have to wake up to the clock to work those roads, to maintain those roads. That's how serious this shit is. All the time you're running around with flat earth, you still need all these brainwashed slaves to perform everything that you need to give you the internet you have right now, to give the alphabet language that runs for you, to maintain the water that comes into your home, the electricity, the gas, whatever. And you can extrapolate it right out. It shows you how deeply compromised we all are or have been. And unless we confront this thing, the flat earth will roll you through no different to Alice in Wonderland or Christianity, and you'll be in the rolling ball where all of you still trapped in the system, all totally reliant on the kidnapping of each other for you to have the lie of that curse that's being processed by everybody. It's a bigger picture. It takes a lot of letting go. And we've been at this for 11 years. Well, for this man, it goes right back to 1971, 72, when I already knew about flat earth back then. But the point is that, we're already on the loveforlife.com.au website. We were putting up flat earth stuff in 2006, right? Eric DeBay wrote to us around 2010, 2011, thanking us for all this stuff. We've been already doing it for 5 years. We have a vast library of all this stuff on the website about geocentricity and all this stuff that goes with it. There's nothing new. This man has been at it for years. This man's moved on because there was another psyop. It's another corral to be trapped in. There's no remedy. It doesn't solve the problem of war. It doesn't solve the problem of peace. It doesn't solve the problem of so many things. All you're doing is being embroiled in conflict through flat earth.
Yeah, and also when you, like, just another comment I pick up, he says, I'm 31, single, free, kidless, LOL. It's like, what?
So you have no driver's
yourself again. You fall into definition.
Yeah, so he has no driver's license. no birth certificate, no credit card, no check account. He has no tax file number. He has no passport, no Medicare, no government handout. He doesn't have has nothing. Is that what you are? Have you already taken that kind of responsibility? Because if you have, you really are returning to reality. If not, you're allowing the distractions of all these psyops to continue running through it, through the illusion of flat Earth, while you're still a slave right now. We've all been compromised by this. Again, you have to watch all these videos with Janik that cover the bigger picture of this.
Yeah.
And in the about section of these videos are the links to many other Love Life insights we share, right? And that's if you want to work it out. Eric Dubai, as to this, whoever this guy is, he's been most welcome to have a debate with us. We've done it with Eric directly on Facebook. He ran away. We did it directly with his Facebook. He ran away. He won't face us. Why? Why is he scared of us? We've got no guns, no weapons. All I have is our tongue and communication. We don't make anything personal. Why does he run? Why do all the occultists do this? You know why all the occultists do it? Because they don't want the psyops to be exposed to all their cult followers. Because he's a cult follower. And he's manipulating people through definitions. But whoever is doing this through Google with you, it's a gift for him. He has the opportunity down the line, if he wants to have a look at that.
The chat is open. The chat is open, and people comments, and I have it beside me. So sometimes I look, it's just to. But I find it interesting also that people give their insight like this, because this is the trauma that we exteriorize, that we bring out also. And me, I find that wonderful. I give thanks for him coming tonight and putting a bit of action like that. It helps us, understand the bigger picture more and more. And the more of us that come out and are confused and express it, others of us that are not so confused will see the confusion, sense it, and try to realign them. That's what you say all the time.
Yannick, it's like, again, if you're in the car of definition and you're driving fast, everything outside the window is a blur. He'll be coming through Gmail, Google, whatever, listening to us, and everything's being filtered through all the definitions spinning in his head. He won't be able to sense where we're really coming from, and he'll think that we're angry and all these things. He's making claims, You're talking to a father here with 4 kids and, all kinds of stuff. He doesn't know who we are. He's never lived with it. He has no idea. The point is, if we don't slow down the conversation that's going on inside our heads, where all these alphabet thoughts are, if you don't recognize these alphabet thoughts, it is you driving the car so fast where everything of reality is a blur outside the window. And you'll be acting as an imposter of us and putting us into prepackaged boxes to meet it, because that's what you do. You stereotype it because you've been stereotyped. You'll stereotype everything that doesn't meet the version of reality that defines you. And you want to force us all to be inside your one monotheistic belief system, because you are practicing monotheism, which is flat Earth, right? Look, the daffodil is yellow. You can see the life form. We can sense that Earth is not turning and going around the sun. That's obvious. It's clear as daylight. That doesn't mean that everything that has been defined to us is true, because there's a bigger picture. Unless you step back to sense the bigger picture, you can't see the truth. You only have snippets of it. And if your head is spinning with all those definitions, that's all you got. You'll fight for that belief. You will fight to grim death, and you'll bring down everyone around you. And you'll never have true freedom. And your rage will continue on, because whatever you had with this man now, you'll have with another brother somewhere else who's never harmed you, and another brother and another sister, because that's what you do. When we're driving this fake life, the fake persona, it is so fast. The pixelations of the computer screen, the ABC 1, 2, 3 spelling, and all the constructs and concepts, the meanings and forms, sentence structures, sentences you to the prison of your self-obsession. And you will be in the chapter, because it is a chapter of the church. It doesn't matter whether he's gone or not. It's irrelevant. It's there for the future of anyone else. Look, when these things come up, it's a gift, because as long as we leave them up on the internet, Johnny, as long as we leave it, all the communication that transpired, others who are sincere will go through such a conversation in a video like this, or through the copy-paste of a Facebook debate, which we have multiple, well, there's thousands of them in the Love Life website, Really is. There's many thousands of them. The point I'm getting at is that someone undefined to us may wake up in a way just because they read something and it helped them, like switches in our brain turning on and off. Something resonates. So we do not deny anything to anybody. We leave everything, all warts and all, up in the Love for Life website, all of it, even our own shit. We leave it all up, everything.
Because you can be sure that if he said that, probably it's very likely other people were also thinking it. You see, that's what you got to realize. You know, I used to teach English in Spain, and you know that one person asked the question, you're pretty sure that 10 others had the same question. It's just they weren't the ones who had the guts to say it. So I'm pretty sure you'll find there were other people listening involved who also had those same sort of reactions. And that's why it is a gift when someone actually has the courage to say, hey, but why are you so angry? Because that brings it all up.
Yeah, it brings passion out of us.
Let's us explore it and get it clearer for everybody.
You see, when you don't have, just saying, when you don't have doubt and uncertainty, you don't let someone steal you. So when he claims anything he claims about fat, bald, whatever he wants to say, whatever those words are, they're not mine. I don't have any emotional attachments to that's his. He can have it. But you've got to make sure you do not let someone steal you. Don't let. So that's why this man will confront people. Right? When people make claims, like I've confronted this guy, back your claims now. Because if you cannot back your claims with first-party evidence, all we have is an imposter acting as Arthur Christian, performing the ritual of what he claims Arthur Christian is. And that's all he's got on offer. That's no different to claiming flat earth. It's like different to claiming tax file numbers and life in the system, claiming ABC 1, 2, 3, and all that. We have to stop kidnapping our brothers and sisters. This is how we create freedom. Because while we're claiming our brothers and sisters and bring them under the belief system of that monotheism, we will have a world of blue collars and white collars. Wouldn't care what you call it. Everyone will still be a slave for you to run the belief system that you're attached to.
Good. That was thank you very much, guys. 2 hours and something. We'll close that one there. But yeah, as always, you know what? We live and learn. And I think we still have a lot to learn. So we'll keep on our conversation like that and our discussion. It's a very, very uplifting vibe. And I like also the chat. And even I'm happy that I didn't block Flat Earth Subgenius, because that would have been self-obsession for me, you know. So I'm very glad that I didn't react. You know, I responded, and you know, I took action necessary. But yeah, I like to exteriorize a bit the trauma like that, and to see it come up. It's good. We have to. That's what we have to confront. You know, we have to confront the trauma inside us and really being aware of it, and slowly, day by day. You know, it's a struggle for everyone, the default state. So it's just to get back in touch with the dream of life, leaving the dream of hell, and leave the dream of hell to the Babylonian people. They'll have fun with that. But us, we're focusing on the dream of life and probably moving out of that so much cage life.
Johnny, I was just going to point out a couple of things. Is that the occults have many trained brothers and sisters that come out of these cults, out of these dark worlds, who are trained to work on the emotions that people have attached to, so they can create the outcomes of those emotions.
But that's what the teachers do.
Right, well, that's what the priestesses of the snake I was trying to point out to you do. And there are many, and we can talk about this. I was going to ask you, actually, first, there was one other thought. We do block people on Facebook. We block people. We will block them if all their intention, and we give them every opportunity, if all their intention is malevolent intent to just attack a character without actually discussing the subject at hand and getting into it, and stop making things personal all the time, just focus on, it doesn't matter how deep the nitty-gritty goes, go for it. But when people start attacking a character with nothing else but attacking a character, we block them, because they don't have any intention for anything else. They're there for creating mischief. They're there to create controversy when there isn't one. And they try to hijack and derail a bigger picture by bringing everyone onto their conflict and try to disturb. Because a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are shy and nervy. And that kind of performance, that kind of ritual that people do, tries to destabilize and make it by association. Anything with our Fiona brings war and chaos. And it's a psyop. So we usually block these people. We used to in the old days not do it, but now we block them. So anyone who wants to come and create controversies, fine, we'll block you. But if you want to come and make an argument with us about something you think we've made a claim about, bring it out. Happy to discuss it, but bring forward the first-party evidence to back it. So you're not in the storytelling, in third party, acting us, making our claims. That's what we said or what we've implied, like the word confrontation. See, confrontation is one of the virtues of unconditional love. There are many virtues of unconditional love. You've got to be able to confront, because if you don't, you allow the lie to penetrate and accept that lie as part of your life. And that's what's happened. People have had their wills so badly broken, they've got broken wills, and they'll shy away from words like confrontation, or they'll make an issue over a word because they won't sense the intentions behind the man, us, saying what we're saying. And that's why we go to so much effort to explain a bigger picture in our writings. People say, oh, there's so many words there. But they have, all these people who complain about so many words there, they themselves already have so many words in everything they do anyway. So they make it personal by trying to attack others to write people off, right? Because all they have is their own belief system to run it, or they have malevolent intent because they're an intel operative who have the skills to come and sabotage the situation. Those kind of brothers and sisters, we will confront them and expose them and then block them when they've got nothing, right? And you'll find heaps and heaps and heaps of evidence. This is the Love for Life website. Multiple hundreds of these intel operatives who run these routines, yet alone the ones on ego trips. But what happened a few days ago on Facebook is another classic example where she kept blocking. Well, she blocked Jabba. She was going to block this man. She had the freedom to block it. We already told her, if you take down our post again, we'll block you and block everything of you on Facebook, because it means you have no intention to engage with us with an honest chat. You're already a control freak. And if that's the case, why waste our energy on this, fighting with people who don't have any intention to go where truth takes all of us? Because that's what we're going to have to do to get out of this mess. So watch out for the confusion and the chaos that gets thrown at you by these people, because whether you're an ego trip or whether you're an intel operative, they try to come from inside and bring up all the trauma in you to cause you to create an outcome that will dismiss where the truth is and not go to it, or vice versa. They will try to make it so, how would you point it? It's like they try to create environments that are so uncomfortable, right? Which is similar to what I just said, and don't even approach going further, like the Arthur Christian Facebook wall or any of the other Facebook walls that we use to share these things. You got to watch out for this manipulation. It's amazing how it works. You've got to rise above all this and still engage and learn where your part is, where the emotion is causing you to shut down, right? And that's where the remedy is. The more you can confront the blind spots and let them go, the more you are the living remedy, and you don't need another man to be that for you. And when you come amongst other brothers who are doing that and other sisters doing that, you really have a paradise on your hands, a living paradise. And you don't fight anymore over anything, because there's nothing to fight for, because it's an eternal life. The dream of life is eternal. The land, the mountains will always exist. The creation. Don't fight for the lie of your fake persona and you think there's a death attached to the land you fight for, or death attached, in that case, to your children, or death attached to your own body. When it comes to that, if the occultists want to go that far and be true murderers, it's their curse, but you don't die. You can't run away from this. You have to be free of this completely and not be influenced by it. Janik, one other thing. Yeah. We will be cutting off the first 15, 20 minutes what happened today because of what happened. So the video will still be with less than almost 2 hours anyway by the time we cut it, when we put up our copy, when we finally do it. So we're not concerned about what happened,
But it's okay. I kept the good vibes as usual. I'm very used to dive deep solo, so it's okay. I wasn't stressed about that. Me, I'll leave it like that. But that's it. Thank you very much again.
One more thing. I'd like to invite Jabba on the show next week. I'd like to invite Scott Andrews on the show next week. I'd like to invite, there's a few others I'm going to contact to bring them onto the show and get them to contact you. Would be nice, because we'd like to start getting more of us involved in the show who have their own point of views about remedy and start discussing it, because it's, now that we're talking about the self-obsession, right, and how the self-obsession works, it's best to get more and more brothers involved now so they can talk about, and sisters, how they're handling this self-obsession while they're doing the remedy work they're doing their way, in their unique way. Because we don't have a remedy for everybody. We're just talking about an overall big picture. And if you can comprehend it, you will apply your unique original way to it. So are you up for that? Do you mind if we...
I'm open to it, but yeah.
Because we discussed it a few weeks ago that we want to get more and more people involved. So I'll think through with Fee some key people. And if you can think of anyone that's really passionate about it, about this,
Jabba, where are you, my bro? I hope he hear me. Come on, Jabba. That's who I want. I asked him to come back too, but he didn't reply to me. But Jabba, my choice, my pick, Jabba.
There's a few others I'd like to think, just so to get more people involved in the conversation about the remedy, because the remedy is the man. The remedy is not attached to the definitions of echo community, intentional communities, whatever. It's being the living soul. It's the only purpose of life, is being the creation of a unique original soul, and no one can define that for you or for us.
Wow.
And then we celebrate that with each other. We celebrate that with each other and admire the uniqueness, right? And let all that dead world just fall away and let them experience the curse. Let them have it.
Celebrating life and letting the love flow. So we're out. Thank you very much, everyone. Everyone in the chat. It's been a bit... there was a bit of eat in the chat tonight, but that's good. I like it. It's just at one point I put him on timeout. He was getting on my nerve with his bad comments and insulting people. So that I'm not too much for that. So I take action. I put him on timeout. He must have been upset, but I don't care.
Push back when someone comes to try to steal you. Push the light back.
That's it. That's it. Enough is enough. I'm not like someone said, we don't have to be a thought police. I'm not a thought police, but enough is enough. Like, I let it go. But at one point when it becomes nonsense, you're going, and if you keep acting, you're going to go back on timeout. That's all. I'm going to put you constantly on timeout. So big up everyone, and rise and shine, live your dreams. And that's it. Love for life. We're out.